give everybody a moment to get settled. Hey. Welcome everyone to another session of Clinical Research Connections. I hope you are all enjoying the slightly cooler weather after a very hot July. So while everybody is getting settled, I will go ahead and start us out with a couple of poll questions. So to start with, what is your community or role in clinical research here at the university? And I'll give everybody a moment to answer that. Thanks. I think we've got a pretty good response there. So I will go ahead and share those results with you. We have a pretty diverse representation today. Plenty of people from Department Clinical Research Administration or Central Research Administration, regulatory coordinator roles, some PIs and some finance folks. Excellent. So thank you for taking the time to answer that. And then I will go ahead and ask you a second one, as we're still seeing some people join. How long have you been involved in clinical research here at the university? And I think that the results I'm seeing so far are very consistent with the results that we've been seeing recently. Folks seem to like it here. We have plenty of people who have been with us 5 years or more. That is great to see. So I'll go ahead and share that with everyone. Some folks around the 1 to 2 year mark. Some folks are new, but plenty of people, actually 45% with us 5 or more years. So we're glad to have you with us today and for quite a long while, it seems. So I will go ahead and start off with just a quick announcement. The Health and Research Fair will be held on October 28th. And announcements about that are going to be going out via email within about a week or so. So if you are interested in having a table to recruit for your study, please keep an eye out for that email to learn more. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce our topics and speakers for today. First, we're going to be hearing from Workforce Development. Tricia and Haley, Tricia Giswaldo and Haley Steiner will be speaking to us about some changes in their office. Kylie Vanderwist and I are going to talk to you a little bit about Crest and the support that we can offer. And then we'll be hearing from the IND office. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Tricia and Haley to discuss workforce development. Go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Thanks. So I'm just going to share my screen, get this PowerPoint to come up. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, looks like we're seeing the non-presentation view.
And for those of you who are new, or if this is one of your first times joining the Clinical Research Connections, you'll be hearing from Tricia and I a little more often. We just wanted to make sure that you know who we are and the work that we're doing with the workforce development. You'll probably see emails from us for different opportunities, but we just wanted to take the opportunity to just tell you where we've been, the progress that we've made over the last year, and where we hope to go. So you probably have seen us around on either these calls or around campus. We've both been on campus for quite a while. So hopefully you don't get sick of seeing us. We really do like connecting with all of you and meeting all of you and hearing from all of you. The workforce development, we wanted to just show this overview. I think it's really helpful in understanding the big picture. first of all, who we are, but then where we fall in the larger campus and in the clinical research support. So we're really falling under the clinical research operations and Ben's group, who you've met Ben as well on this call, but we just thought this was a nice way to show you where workforce development is falling in more of the org chart. For those of you who like organization, I think we all work in research, we like organization and step-by-step charts. Just to go back and summarize some of the objectives that we've worked on in the past and that we want to have always on the forefront as we're thinking about clinical research professional workforce development is always to identify and connect with collaborators to build partnerships. So that's partnerships with all of you, that's partnerships with PIs, outside entities. We've been trying to connect recently with other academic institutions, but really for us, it's about those partnerships and those relationships. We always want to advocate for you and the research community, offering support, offering initiatives, but it's really about advocacy and what we're hearing from all of you. And then the last one is we really want to align with the CCTSI grant that is really planning to develop and improve diversity, support, training, and career development. So many of the trainings that you've seen on campus with informed consent or some of the PIs have specific training to them. Those are through the CCTSI, so we want to stay aligned with them as well. And then there's other academic institutions who have these CTSA hubs that are also part of CCTSI. So wanting to connect with them and again, build those partnerships and stay relevant with other academic sites. So our phase one really was about the last year. We started in about August of last year. And so we consider the phase one really about this first year. So we met with a group of PIs, a PI advisory group, just to make sure we're connected with them so that they know about the work for clinical research professionals. We've done these research connection meetings to connect with all of you to try to stay up to date, keep you all up to date on what's happening. We sent out a workforce development survey that many of you participated in last December and January. And then we did these listening tours where we met with many from different departments, attended some of their team meetings, just to hear what you need, what's going on, what you like about the university, what you like about research. We started the Teams page and the SharePoint page. As you probably know, we try to add people every one of these meetings. So actually, if you are not part of our team site, if you want to put in the chat, Trisha can add you manually here as we're talking, so you have resources to the presentations that we're doing. And then a clinical research professional roundtable. We started this a couple months ago, and it's just another way to connect, to get support, ask questions of your peers. And then we're going to talk here at the end about something that we're doing this month in August instead of the roundtable. So just a quick little summary on our clinical research professional workforce development survey. And this PowerPoint is in our Teams. You should be able to just click on the hyperlink in the PowerPoint that's in Teams to take you to the survey results so you can actually see those, as well as the infographic. So you can take this, share it with your colleagues, share it with your PIs so that they can see the survey results. But really just as a summary, the survey was asking questions around job satisfaction, career trajectory, and professional development. And really some of the recommendations that we worked on over this phase one this last year and where we'd like to go this next year is around the areas that were a little bit lower. So my promotion and career path opportunities at CU not being very clear, research onboarding experience not being as positive, and compensation not being as positive. Our goal is really that all three of these sort of feed into each other. So we're going to be starting with onboarding, and we hope that that will influence promotion and career path, and that will also influence compensation for your role. I really appreciate those that contribute and are part of our group. So we can never take too much time just in gratitude and thanks. So first of all, you all are on our thank you list as number one, the clinical research professional community. We also want to thank the OVCR, Allison and Ben, who are very involved in the workforce development and very supportive of all the work for workforce development. The Evaluation Center that did the survey, and we hope to do more surveys with them to continuing hearing from all of you. And then the CCTSI and Lisa Sakudo. We've just recently started an onboarding working group with various departments across campus and various leaders who are really passionate about workforce development as well as onboarding to try to come up with a plan for what would this look like as we go forward with onboarding, since we heard that that's one of the number one things that's maybe missing right now. So as I mentioned, phase 2 is really kind of starting now into this next year. One of the things on Trisha and my mind is to just always be promoting the professionalization of the clinical researcher. We both are examples of making clinical research a career and a career that we love. And so we hope to continue to promote that wherever we go, whatever opportunity we have. And so you'll see us at different events, always trying to promote it as a career. We definitely want to partner with diversity, equity, inclusion, and community engagement, the DEICE group, and really wanting to diversify the clinical research workforce. That also includes going out into the community. So we've been having lots of conversations with their group and making sure that we have a really strong partnership. And then, as I had just mentioned, really initiating a clinical research professional focused onboarding curriculum. So that's something that we've started work on with our collaborators in the work group. Some other things that we have going on in the background is like I said, collaborating with some of these other academic centers. What are they doing? Maybe we can learn from them. We can share what we've been doing. And so hopefully that's helpful for you to hear that we're trying to stay relevant with other academic sites and making sure that we're all working together for this workforce. And then lastly, we're looking to really kind of find a way to make sure that onboarding as well as the promotion opportunities are related to competencies, and so that there's a competency-based aspect to everything that we're doing. So just a very brief overview. We want to put in a shameless plug for our end of summer social to celebrate with all of you, to hopefully meet many of you. We would love to connect, hear from you, what's working, what's not working. And so a great opportunity would be to come to the event on the 23rd. It's a Wednesday, 4 to 6 at T Street. You've got the QR code. So I can keep talking for a really long time to get as many of you as possible to register, but we would love if you can RSVP. Several fold. It will give us a number for the event, but it will also give us a great list of those of you that are interested in future things that we're doing, that we can make sure to connect with you and give you other opportunities that we have. Again, if you would like to look through this presentation, I know I'm a really fast talker, so this will be in our team site, so you can get the PowerPoint presentation, all of the survey information, connect with us. You can ask questions. We have a lot of people putting in questions and answering each other's questions. Really, we just want to create this community feel, because this community is really important.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Haley. Really looking forward to that end of summer social. That is the afternoon after the OVCR volleyball tournament and picnic. So that'll be a great day to connect with our peers in clinical research. All right, so Kylie and I are going to go ahead and talk about engaging Crest for your study teams. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, I hope everybody can see that okay. All right. As I said, Kylie and I are going to talk a little bit to you about Crest and how we can help support your research. I'm sure many of you have seen my face before at these meetings, but just to reiterate, my name is Erin McDonough. I am the program director for the Clinical Research Support Team, or Crest.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kylie Vanderweis. I am the operations manager here at Crest.
And so what is Crest? Crest, or the Clinical Research Support Team, is a service support center offering fee-for-service a la carte support for research conducted by CU faculty on campus. And we support investigator-initiated studies, industry-sponsored interventional studies, observational studies. We also support secondary research. We do not support animal studies, but if you are doing research with human participants, we can generally provide some kind of support. And basically, we are here to fill bandwidth gaps and help you operationalize your research by just kind of providing the necessary extra or additional personnel and resources at the right time. And our mission as a team is that we are clinical research lifecycle experts who support a diverse community of sponsors, patients, and investigators. We connect inspiration with execution to advance science and medicine and improve human life. And so to give you a little bit of background on Crest as a team, we were created in 2017 as a CCTSI program, and I cannot overstate how grateful we are for all of their support, launching Crest and getting us up and running. And Crest was created to fill those gaps in support for investigators and clinical research teams that maybe didn't have the total capacity to support all of their research operations and just needed a little bit of help. From 2017 to 2021, Crest grew significantly. We actually started with only 2 members working on a handful of clinical studies in a single department, but we grew very rapidly. And as a result of that, in July 2021, Crest was actually moved from the CCTSI into the Clinical Research Operations Support Office, along with Workforce Development, et cetera, the IND office, which is part of the OVCR. And so this move kind of allowed Crest to increase our size, increase our presence, and increase the support that we can offer across campus. So after, during sort of 2022 and 2023, we, like many teams, were recovering from challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic. But during that time, we restaffed and then began growing even more, and just opening up our bandwidth to take on new projects. And so today, our Crest team consists of 12 coordinators, 3 clinical monitors, and an EDC build specialist, and a total of 20 research professionals, and we are still growing.
So Crest at a glance, it's crazy to think about that we're 2/3 away, or 2/3 into 2022. So we're going to have to update this slide soon, which is crazy to think about. But in 2022, Crest supported 89 different studies across 25 different departments and groups. And you can see the bar graph at the bottom of this slide. Those are all the different departments. So a lot of hematology, oncology, and BMT studies, with endocrinology following closely behind that. And that was with 58 different principal investigators. On the right-hand side of the slide, you will see the breakdown of what the Crest support really look like. So coordination only, that's only when the investigators are reaching out to us for coordinator support, and that made up 13% of the studies in 2022. Coordination plus was made up 27%, and that includes coordination, study startup, administration, regulatory support. So that's when we're kind of, Crest is involved from the start, all the way from the study startup, all the way to closeout. Study startup, admin, and regulatory, so just more of that initial implementation and getting studies off the ground, was 24%. We had 9% of the studies were only monitoring, 5% we provided DSMB support, and then 22% were other. And that other category includes one-off or individualized services such as invoicing, other financial help, secondary research submissions, database builds, among other things. So what are our services? Like Erin indicated, we are this a la carte kind of fee-for-service centers. So investigators and departments can kind of pick and choose what they need help with. So we help out with study startup and administration. So that looks like proposal routing and info ed, management, budget preparation and negotiation, sponsor invoicing, on-course submissions, and sign-off. So all of those startup activities that need to be completed before the study can be OTA at our site. We also help with just IRB and regulatory aspects, such as submissions to the HSR portal, PRMS portal, and external IRB review, creation and submissions of internal initial applications in COMORB or other commercial IRBs, informed consent development, those site-specific changes for those industry-sponsored studies, and then preparation and submission of all those key regulatory documents, including the 1572, IND, IDE applications, financial disclosures forms, all of those required documents that it's kind of a fishing expedition to get them all collected from the right people. We also help with, other services include clinical coordination, if you want to go to the next slide, Erin, which is where a lot of our support comes in. But as you can see, we're kind of growing and getting more involved in that study startup activities. So clinical coordination includes scheduling that SIV, participating in that SIV, subject recruitment, screening, scheduling, AE and SAE reporting and submission, CRF completion, conducting those actual study visits at the CTRC, whether it's the inpatient or outpatient CTRC, whether some of the aspects of the study are occurring at UC Health. So all those aspects and all those key duties that fall under clinical research coordinator purview.
We also offer clinical monitoring support and ECRF build support. So for clinical monitoring service, we can develop a clinical monitoring plan for you, conduct that source data verification, conduct the site initiation visit, interim monitoring visits, and closeout visits. And then if you need an EDC build in Advara EDC, we can help develop those ECRF forms for you as well. So our services and pricing are available on our website. We do offer hourly rates if you just need a little bit of a la carte support to kind of fill gaps. Our rates are discounted for investigator-initiated studies. We are a nonprofit group within the university. So these rates are based on nonprofit rates. We do not profit from our hourly support or our general support. For industry startup, we also offer full service study startup, regulatory budget negotiation for industry studies. So if you prefer to just hand that over, we will negotiate with the sponsor to cover our own costs. And we can talk to you a little bit more about that if you have a study that you think might be a good candidate for that. So if you want to learn more about that, then just go to our website. You can Google just Crest CU Anschutz, and we will come right up and you can complete that Crest help request form. We will reach out to you to set up a meeting. So why work with Crest? I think that the benefits that study teams can really see from Crest are just freeing up that extra bandwidth that you might need and making sure that you have that additional coverage. A lot of times we're brought in during in-flight studies where there's been coordinator turnover and the study team just needs a little bit of extra support for a while they onboard somebody else and get their job posting going. But we have a dedicated pool of coordinators to help step in those times of need. We can also generally assign more than one coordinator if the study workload demands it, and then that helps sort of ameliorate those issues that you might see with somebody taking extended leave or sickness or having to cancel study visits because of PTO, because we're all human and we need those things. So it's nice to have a couple of people available to help with that coverage. We're also able to customize precisely to your bandwidth needs. So maybe if you just need a little bit of extra bandwidth on your team, but you don't need an entire full additional employee, that's a great time to reach out to us so that we can step in and help. We also, of course, handle all hiring, institutional training, HR oversight, and management in-house for our team. So that comes off of your plates. And we are able to minimize that turnover impact related to kind of coordinator turnover because we generally are able to assign multiple coordinators to studies that have a significant workload. And I also, I just always feel the need to brag about our team because I think that they're great. Our coordinators and monitors are they're so passionate about the work. They love the research and they've had the chance to work on oftentimes a variety of different studies or study types across campus. So they have that real breadth of knowledge. And we have experience levels ranging from about a year to even over a decade on our team. So I think we can bring a unique aspect of help to your research studies.
So Erin already kind of mentioned this. How do you get started with requesting help from Crest or using Crest as a service center? So first, like she mentioned, we have a Crest help request form. It's a REDCap form. I know that there's a lot of REDCap forms that the university has. It's pretty simplistic. There's no required information besides your contact information. And we just ask you to put as much information as you can in that form, and that will automatically go to Erin and I, and we will reach out to schedule a call, usually a 30-minute Zoom or Teams meeting to further discuss your study and get some more information. But that initial intake form really helps guide that discussion. So the more information we have, the easier that discussion goes. We then will work to create a Crest service agreement outlining what we discussed and what Crest services you will need for your study. We'll send that to you and ask your feedback or any edits you have, make sure we didn't miss anything that we discussed during our meeting, and then we will get a speed type from you to get our services or to get started on your study. Once we begin work on our study, obviously that can look completely different depending on what kind of services and how many services that you need, but we invoice on a monthly basis to that that study speed type or that speed type that you gave us. If you need to change the scope of your work or terminate the work, you can do that anytime. We like to stay up to date with our study teams that we're supporting and make sure that we are not only giving the best or the most quality work and quality staff, but also that we can't help out anymore because we all know that clinical research is ever evolving and we get protocol amendments all the time. And so that might impact the services that we're giving to your study. Next slide, please. So once again, just to summarize, get in touch with us. You can visit our website, complete that Crest help request form if you do have a study that needs additional support. You can also email our crest@ucdenver.edu email address, and Erin and I will respond. We monitor that inbox as requests come in if you just have general questions. But we are also, you can also reach out directly to Erin and I if you have any questions. And once again, please reach out. We're here to help you all.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. Are there any questions for us or about the services that we provide? All right. Thank you very much. Well, I will go ahead and stop sharing. Thank you so much for your time. And I will now go ahead and turn it over to the IND office. And we'll be hearing from Jennifer Armstrong and Cecilia Low-Wang.
And from Heike.
And from Heike.
I think Heike is going to do it for us.
I'm going to get started and then we can bring Jennifer and Cecilia in. Thanks, Erin.
Sorry about
let me-
that, Heike.
That's okay. That's okay. Let me just quickly load my PowerPoint presentation and
queued up.
share my screen. Bear with me for a moment. My screen here and okay. Can everyone see my presentation now?
We are not seeing your shared screen.
Okay, let me try this again. Share my screen and this one.
Looks like we are seeing the editable version. There we go. Perfect.
Are we good?
Yep, we are good.
Okay, perfect. Well, I am the program director for the new IND IDE office, and I just wanted to give you more of a comprehensive overview and a status update on where we are. Since we are now officially open as of July 1st. So I think now is a good time to give everyone a quick overview. The IND IDE program at CU Anschutz was actually established in January of 2023 through the Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research. And the purpose is really to alleviate administrative burdens on the investigators and to standardize the processes for research with FDA-regulated products. But also we want to make sure that we can ensure that FDA-regulated projects are initiated with feasible goals and have the appropriate resources and funding to really be finalized the way it was envisioned at the beginning. We also want to facilitate a more efficient startup process and minimize the risk to participants and mitigate compliance risks. With that being said, I want to make sure everyone knows that we have two branches. One of them is the IND IDE office under the Vice Chancellor for Research, and the other one is the Cancer Center under the School of Medicine. And we're triaging projects to either of these entities based on the project type and the therapeutic area. Important to know about the program is also that we are mandatory as of July 1st for all new projects that need to go to the FDA, and we will manage INDs and IDEs that are currently active on a case-by-case basis. So if you have an active IND or IDE and you're running out of resources for the required annual progress reports, for instance, come to us and ask us for help. And if we have the resources, the bandwidth, we will definitely take that on. So we will make the decision on a case-by-case basis for those projects. Important to know, and I had mentioned earlier that we're triaging projects based on project type. There are 5 projects that we've identified as being different from each other. Type 1 are the projects where we have investigator-initiated studies where the product that is being used in a study is actually manufactured by a university entity, and we own the manufacturing process, and we write the entire CMC section. That's the chemistry manufacturing control section of the IND application. Type 2 projects are the ones where an external entity controls the intellectual property of the product. But the product will be manufactured by a university entity or under the instructions and directions of our PI. So we're not really owning the manufacturing process necessarily on campus, but we have definitely a strong insight into the manufacturing process. The type 3 and 4 projects are really the ones that most people think about when they're thinking about investigator-initiated studies, where an IND or the IDE is held by the local investigator. So you typically are using a product that comes from maybe a pharmaceutical company, an external pharmaceutical company, and they're providing us with a letter of authorization to cross-reference any of the FDA filings. So a drug study would be a type 3. And if the same thing applies to a device that is currently being manufactured by an external entity, that would be a type 4 project. And then all the single patient or other compassionate use projects that we're managing are grouped together under type 5. There are a few exceptions to the type 5 projects that we're taking on, but in general, pretty much assume that the single patient and multi-patient compassionate use requests that need to be submitted through the FDA are type 5 projects. So those are the different types that we've identified. And the big difference between those is that the type 1 and type 2 projects, for those, the university actually will be the sponsor, the regulatory sponsor of the projects, and will hold the IND or IDE. It is not an automatic process. You actually have to request to have that happen for your study, and you need to have approval through the IND governance committee. So if there's a project that you believe would fall under the category of type 1 or type 2, you need to apply for it, and the IND governance committee makes a decision as to whether they feel the university should be the regulatory sponsor. For all the other ones, the other types of projects, the sponsor investigator will be the IND or IDE holder, and as such the regulatory sponsor, and they will retain the responsibility and the scientific direction and ownership of the project. We will be helping with alleviating the risk and the administrative burden through the central office, so that the researcher can really be allowed to focus on the research and protecting the human participants. So that's really the biggest difference between type 1 and 2, that the university holds the IND or the IDE, or the sponsor, the clinician, will be the IND holder or IDE holder. In addition to the type 3 and 5 projects, the sponsor investigator will still be responsible for the protocol development and the scientific justification It will be their responsibility to develop the study budget and secure funding for the study. They need to complete the documents and the forms for the FDA submission. So we're not doing that work for them. We're just doing the submission and the review and the submission. They will be required to do the recruitment, the consenting, the data collection. The PI will be responsible for really documenting and assessing all the adverse events that occur in the study, do the data analysis, including making sure that they have enough funding for the biostats support that is needed. And then they need to let us know, obviously, if there's anything that will need to be submitted to the FDA as an amendment to the IND or IDE, or if there's expedited reporting that needs to be done for an SAE to the FDA. And the PI will also be responsible for any communication directly with the product manufacturer. So we're not taking on any of these tasks. We're really primarily focusing on review and submission to the FDA. But there are some additional things that we're doing. At no cost, our office will actually help with defining the project's regulatory strategy for the type 3 and 5 projects. We will manage, file, and track all communication with FDA through the entire regulatory life cycle. We will establish and train research teams on standardized electronic regulatory filing. We're using eReg, not yet, but in the near future, we will have eReg ready to be used. And we will be providing guidance and support for all regulatory and IRB questions, because our medical directors are actually very familiar with IRB requirements as well. And we will train the study teams on the responsibilities associated with projects under local regulatory sponsorship, and assist with safety and pharmacovigilance related questions. So it's actually a little bit more than just really doing the review and the submission of FDA projects. We're definitely providing additional support and guidance. Important to know from a process point, please come to us before you're submitting through the HSR portal, ideally when you're working on developing the study budget, because your protocol may or may not trigger additional costs that you may need to consider in your study budget. So come early and come often to us, please. We do have a central intake form, and here's the web page. The entire PowerPoint will be posted after the meeting today, and you can have the link through the PowerPoint. But we do have a central intake form with very few questions that really help us primarily to triage the project either to our IND IDE office or to the Cancer Center. We will then be doing a high-level study budget review to make sure that any budget items that would be required for Advara EDC or for study monitoring are included in your study budget. We have developed a risk assessment tool that we use to really make that determination together with our medical directors. We want to make sure that if there's a DSMB that is required for the study, that there is sufficient funding included in your budget for that. And if there's no departmental statistician support, that you actually have additional funding for statistician included in your study budget. We will also be doing a study feasibility assessment. Initially, we will help you estimate enrollments through the Trinetics system that we have. And we will train your staff to use the tool going forward for other studies. For communication purposes, we're using Teams. I hope that everyone is by now familiar with using Teams, because it looks like everyone on campus uses Teams for that. And as I said before, we're hoping to really roll out eReg as a trial master file system later this year. Definitely before the end of the year, maybe earlier than that. With respect to our staff, this is what we have as of right now. Ben Echelier is our director for the clinical operations system service. I'm the program director. We have two medical directors, Jen Armstrong and Cecilia Lowang. Then we have the project manager, Megan Schmidt, which many of you probably have worked with by now. We have our pharmacovigilance and regulatory specialist, Monica Manick. I don't know if she's on. If so, Monica, can you show your face and wave at everyone.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all.
There she is. We have our lead regulatory specialist, Allison Hilken. Allison, can you show your face too?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm having issues with my camera today. Hello, I'm waving.
Okay, she's waving. We have our regulatory specialist, Robert Bridenstine. Robert? Where is he? Where is he? Robert? Oh. Well, I'm not quite sure where Robert is. I saw his name earlier on the list, but now he's not here anymore. His mic is not working. Okay. And we have our regulatory specialist, Anisha Marni. Anisha, are you on? Can you show your face? Oh, there she is. Hi, Anisha.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much. And we have our two medical directors, Cecilia and Jennifer. And maybe Cecilia, do you want to give a little introduction to yourself and explain what you're doing?
Sure. Thank you so much for that, all of that information, Heike. And also thank you, Erin, for giving us this time to explain who we are, what we do. So this is much appreciated. And of course, to Ben and to Allison for all the support, and Tom for the support. So I'm going to be serving as the medical director for the type 1 and type 2 projects. So again, these are the products that are manufactured by an entity affiliated with CU Anschutz. So type 1 is those investigator-initiated studies where we own the manufacturing process. Type 2 is the industry-funded investigator-initiated studies, where an external party controls the IP connected to the investigational product, but we are manufacturing it. So some of my responsibilities include overall, because the university is going to be the sponsor for these projects, I'll be the sponsor representative. And so I'll sign the FDA Form 1571 for each of these FDA communications. I'll review and approve all of those FDA submission documents, and then review and approve selected sponsor SOPs. And then I'll be closely collaborating with the project's medical lead and have oversight of the study product quality, patient safety related issues, the protocol amendments, IND and IDE amendments, reviewing the monitoring reports and trends, and then escalating issues of noncompliance. So that is kind of a quick overview of my responsibilities, and maybe I will turn it over to Jennifer Armstrong.
Move over to Jennifer's slide.
Thanks, Cecilia and Heike, for that introduction as well. I'm laughing because this is me with my glasses, which I normally wear, and I don't have any eyeglass cleaner with me. So you see me without my glasses now. And Cecilia and I were flipped with our glasses in our pictures. So I don't have too much to add on top of what has been said, but I'm the academic scientific medical director for the stage 3 to type 3 for and most of the 5 studies. And as Heike mentioned, the 3 and 4 studies are typically what we think of with the investigator-initiated studies that have a pharmaceutical company or a device company that we're going to be doing phase 1 or phase 2 trials in humans. And so what we do with this project is looking at the risk assessment and determining if we need a EDC or any independent clinical monitoring requirements. We've actually developed a quite beautiful risk assessment tool that we use with this to help delineate those services, which also then goes into budgeting requirements. I also review the protocol changes to see if an amendment is needed or any kind of notes to file. And we work closely with the regulatory specialists with this. We will assist in the review of any SAEs to determine what kind of reporting needs to be done. And also on the front end, work with protocol development and regulatory and IRB issues. I am a COMERB chair, and most of these will probably go through my panel. So we're trying to catch everything on the front end and make sure that everything is in a nice tight bundle when it goes to FDA and then to the IRB. I will also be assisting with the type 5 projects. So these are more the emergency use or single patient INDs that sometimes come through. And again, those mostly come to me within the COMERB realms so that we can try and get everything prepared in the process before after the fact.
Okay. Thank you so much, Cecilia and Jennifer. Let me move on to the next slide. So as I said, we've been officially a program that was established on January 1st of this year, even though we have been only officially open to business as of July 1st. But I wanted to show everyone what we've actually done since January of this year, because we used the time to really develop our new processes and workflows. And the best way of doing that was to actually deal with real submissions to the FDA. So I'll show you really fast what we've done since January. The first two are actually two projects, two INDs that we're taking over from the Gates Institute's sales team. So I will just list them here because we're taking them on now, even though we have not done the official submissions for them. But since January, in sequence of what came to our office, this is pretty much what we've done. So drug study, a compassionate device, a type 1 for a drug, another drug 3/4 device study, another drug study, more compassionate use projects, compassionate use, another drug study that is now being worked on right now. So we have not received permission from the FDA to proceed. We have another device project in the works. Then there was another compassionate use that came in, and another one, and then there was another device that came in. So really, I mean, the scope of work that we've done just since the beginning of the year to figure out our processes and define how the workflow will work, I think pretty much shows really the scope of projects that are going on campus and the scope of projects that will be running through our office specifically. So I just wanted to show that because I think that's impressive. And with that, I just wanted to make sure that everyone has our contact information. I'm the program director. You can email me or Megan, the project manager. We also have a general email address, ind.ide.office@cuanschutz.edu. You can email to that email address as well. And with that, I don't have anything else to share, and I'm curious to hear if anyone has questions.
I just had one more comment too, and I think that it fit nicely with the first half of this hour, in that, you know, we know that there is a lot of team member turnover, and maybe some teams aren't as experienced with doing INDs or ID submissions, or else we have junior faculty that have never done it before, or very senior faculty who think they know what they're doing, and maybe it's been a while. But I think that this is also just a wonderful opportunity for us all for the educational component of it, and really, you know, making sure that we can support the research that is being done and support it well and get everyone up trained, so to really bring you know, CU Anschutz Children's and University Hospital up into the forefront of this.
Yeah. We have a question in the chat. Natalie asked to clarify, will the IND IDE office manage emergency INDs as well as single patient INDs?
So I can answer that question. Emergency INDs are typically dealt with directly between the clinician and the FDA. We will be providing guidance and support, but we don't want to get in the middle and hold up the process. So if it truly is an emergency request, it will be a direct communication between the clinician and the FDA. We will help follow up afterwards, but for true emergency INDs, it is really a direct connection between the clinician and the FDA.
Thank you, Heike.
Mhm.
Any other questions from our listeners today?
Can you just clarify compassionate use, because we seem to get into that confusion all the time.
So when we say compassionate use, we really mean what the FDA calls expanded access, which means a patient has to have a serious and life-threatening condition, and there is no other opportunity for treatment, and the patient doesn't qualify for clinical trial that is currently active. So there are certain criteria that really need to be met in order to be considered an expanded access project. And single patient is really meant just like that. I mean, if it is the treatment of a patient who meets the criteria for expanded access, and it is truly a treatment for that one patient, that's pretty much what we consider compassionate use. Emergency use is similar to that, but there is a higher urgency to that. And that's why I was saying we don't want to get in the middle of it, because that really typically means that the patient needs to be treated like within the next 1 or 2 days. And there are obviously time constraints that we cannot meet if we get in the middle and we're trying to do all of the submissions. So that's why we were saying it's direct between the clinician and the FDA. There are also expanded access protocols where, for instance, a manufacturer is close to getting market approval for a product, and because they have shown safety and efficacy, they want to make the treatment available to the larger population prior to getting marketing approval. Now, those projects are usually run through the company itself, and those would not be projects that we manage. So if a manufacturer has a treatment protocol, we would not be involved in managing those. They are more managed like a clinical trial, really.
Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Heike. Thank you very much to Dr. Armstrong, Dr. Lawang, and everybody from the IND office for joining us. And thank you to all of our speakers for joining us today. We do record these sessions, so you will be able to find the link either when it is sent out via email to the video recording at the end of the week. You can also find scheduled dates and registration and archived recordings on now the Cross website. Just take note of that because it used to live on the Crest website. So I will go ahead and share that in the chat for everybody. And we look forward to seeing all of you next month. Thank you so much to all of our speakers and to everybody who was able to join today, and have a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Bye.